Hello guys, how's it going? My name is Dalaran, and this video is going to be a long discussion video with me talking throughout the whole thing. So I do apologize if you came to the channel to see a PvP video. But today I'm going to discuss the topic of official reply to Vanilla Servers and Nostarius by Blizzard. I'm going to read snippets of the blue post, explain you guys my interpretation of how Blizzard seems to see the idea of vanilla servers and Nostarius and introducing the idea onto themselves, like being a server provider and making legacy servers a thing. And also I have footage in the background that's very relevant to the video. I'll explain that eventually at one point. It'll all make sense. I just gotta get you the idea of Pristine Realm, and that'll be the main topic of discussion basically. So the blue post reads something like this. I want to let you know that we've been closely following the Nostarius discussion, and we appreciate your constructive thoughts and suggestions. Our silence on the subjects definitely doesn't reflect our level of engagement and passion on the topic. We have been discussing classic servers for years. It's a topic every BlizzCon, especially over the past few weeks. Why not just let Nostarius continue the way it was? The honest answer is failure to protect against intellectual property infringement would damage Blizzard's rights. We explored options for developing classic servers, and none could be executed without great difficulty. So, what can we do to capture the nostalgia of when WoW first launched? Over the years, we talked about Pristine Realm. In essence, would turn off all leveling accelerations, including character transfers, heirloom gear, character boosts, recruiter friend bonuses, WoW token, and access to cross-realm zones, as well as a group finder. We aren't sure whether this version of a clean slate is something that would appeal to the community, and is still an open topic for discussion. One other note, we recently been in contact with some of the folks who operate in Nostarius. They obviously care deeply about the game, and we look forward to more conversations with them in the coming weeks. You, the Blizzard community, are the most dedicated, passionate players out there. We thank you for the constructive thoughts and suggestions. We are listening, J. Allen Brack. So hopefully you were able to understand everything in terms of the blue post. I try to read it out as best I can. Of course, it's not the full thing. I'll have the link for that in the description. Basically, they said they had to shut Nostarius down for, I guess, legal reasons. This is what they said, and this is how I interpret it. They shut down Nostarius for legality reasons. They cannot do classic servers and vanilla servers, TBC servers, or Wrath servers with ease. But they were thinking about making Pristine Realm, which basically turns off all leveling bonuses. I don't think that the people that played Nostarius would find a Pristine Realm something to fit them. And this is where I come in to introduce the footage in the background. So with the idea of Pristine Realms that they talked about, in essence, no heirloom gear, no character boost, no recruiter friend, no WoW token, no access to cross-realm zones, and no group finder, I basically leveled with those conditions. That's why I have the footage of me just leveling a character. It's a random rogue that I decided to put together and leveling in this Pristine Realm condition. And just to explain you a bit more of my experience and my thoughts in terms of this whole vanilla Nostarius issue. One thing I do want to say, I don't think vanilla players would enjoy a Pristine Realm. There's innate differences in how, I'd say, Nostarius or Vanilla ran from what I've seen, compared to how a Pristine Realm runs. What is my experience with Nostarius, I guess, is I didn't actually play it. I did not play Vanilla. I did not play Nostarius. I don't have the time. I'm in college, and most of the times that I do get to play WoW is the 2 hours that I do stream it. So, not that much time on my hands, but I did watch somebody level a Tauren Hunter on Nostarius, because I was interested in the idea of Vanilla WoW. I heard that hunters had ammo, and it was hard to tame a pet, and while hunters might have been the easiest class to level back in the day, because you had the pet to tank things for you, it was still difficult. So I just watched the guy level from about level 1 to 20, and the amount of time it took him to get to that point, to get through the, I guess, the Mulgore area. I don't think I watched him all the way to level 20, but I watched him get out of Mulgore, and it took a hell of a long time. I mean, the guy had to go back in a town and pick up ammo. I think it was bullets, and then had to go out and fight enemies for quests. He had to search the quest bar on his own. He had to read it. He had to go then later down the line, tame a pet, and that was a struggle and a half. You had to basically sit down and eat food just about every time he had a pull. And if there was a pull more than one mob, he was basically dead in most cases. And the Tauren Hunter couldn't use guns all the time. He had to actually whack things with a staff for the longest time. It was At first I was watching this, and somebody who's been playing World of Warcraft, I thought to myself, wow, this sounds like really time consuming, maybe a little bit monotonous, maybe a little redundant, having to go grab ammo every time and having to go eat just about after every pull and all that jazz. I was thinking like, wow, this is really time consuming. I can kind of understand why, that would make the whole leveling thing easier. But after watching the guy and hanging out on stream and just chilling, just accepting that, okay, that's the reality, it takes leveling super slow. Let's see where it goes. The rewards that the person who was leveling experienced, they were so just high up there. The guy was very satisfied with his progress and was pretty happy. And you could just see just every single piece of gear. Like at first, green was just the most PogChamp thing. I know I'm using Twitch emotes to describe how everybody in chat felt, but the most exciting thing anybody's ever seen. And then getting your first pet, oh, the excitement was even higher. Once you actually could start just firing your guns away instead of having to hit things with a staff and raptor strike or whatever from time to time. It was actually just cool. It was so personally rewarding, right? It wasn't insane rewards. It wasn't like he just, killed a bunch of mobs and then a legendary dropped or something crazy like that. It was just simple things like getting a green piece of gear was super exciting and was super exhilarating. And it made me as a viewer like, whoa, it's fucking exciting. Whoa, it's, I had the same experience. I basically was able to live out some of that vanilla nostalgia through the person. And I guess I couldn't really call it nostalgia because I never technically experienced it. But living out the moments of getting this cool piece of gear, I've finally been rewarded after the struggle. And then there was little things like going to town and picking up ammo and picking up food and getting yourself prepped before you go out and quest into the world, having to go get supplies, go out into the world, quest, come back, refresh, refuel. Little things like that, it kind of made me understand why vanilla was just so cool. Yes, it was a game where you needed to have a lot of time to put into the game, to level, to get your gear, to get what you wanted, to get everything done, to get yourself prepped, to get your pet to like you. You actually had to feed it as a hunter. I thought that, like, at first, that's a lot of things to do. That's a lot of things to juggle and might be difficult to manage. But the rewards out of it were, I don't even know how to describe it. The rewards out of that system, that, I guess, archaic system that we look right now and we'll say, wow, that's archaic back in the day. The archaic system, the player was so happy and felt so rewarded and felt like they wanted to play more. They wanted to see what they can get out of it. The struggle itself was straight up worth it. And that's the reason why I don't think Pristine Realms would really satisfy what vanilla players want to see, what people that played Nostalrius want to see, what people that played back in the day want to see. Because Nostalrius, or I guess Vanilla WoW, wasn't all that fair to the player off the bat. You had to be prepared. You had to have the abilities ready. You had to have all your buffs ready. You had to have your food ready so you can eat after the fight. And if you pulled more than one mob, that's it. You were dead. It was that kind of struggle. And that struggle caused players to band together because it was much easier to level with a second person by your side. Let's say you pulled way too many mobs, you have a buddy to help you out. Maybe you have some crowd control, maybe you have some healing, maybe you can just burst a couple targets down just to make the fight much easier. So it was a world that was kind of like, it was a world where the struggle rewarded you, and the world was kind of scary in a way, because it was just like so anti-you, so against you. Like you were out, and if things were hostile, they would want to kill you. So then this need to have other players with you was born and formed, and that's maybe why the communities back in the day were so tightly packed. I don't think the idea of server hopping was a thing either back in the day. So if you were a jackass to somebody on your server, you would most likely meet them again at one point or another. And that same person could spread rumors. I could even see just somebody going in vanilla, spreading rumors about a guy who was just like, hey man, help me out in leveling. And instead he just went up, grabbed the quest item while you're getting killed by a bunch of mobs. And you're like, oh shit. And you go back, and where can the other person go? Go to another server back in the day? Probably not. I wouldn't know though. So there's just a lot of these, I guess, a lot of these little things that I don't think you would see in Pristine Servers. So this brings us back to the actual footage. I want to talk a little bit about the footage. This character that I played, I did not encounter a moment where I actually needed another player's help. I only died once, and I don't even know no, I do know how the hell that happened. While leveling this character from level 1 to 10, no gear, no nothing, no special, I did not have to reset like a person in vanilla WoW had to. I basically, as soon as the fight was over, my health was back, and I could go back and fight another extra character, another player, another mob or whatever. But back in vanilla, I could see how little things like eating food or bandaging yourself or whatever might make the game a little more alive and a little more detailed, because you're putting so much more time and effort and little bit of detail to it. It's almost like an artist who paints a piece of artwork, but then they keep adding a little bit of detail, a little bit of detail here, a little bit of detail there, and makes the world feel alive. The character has to eat out and get full health after every single fight. And then, because he has to get food, he has to go restock back in the nearest town nearby whenever they can. Things like that, just those little things just don't exist in current WoW. Even if you were to level in Pristine Realm. The sense of danger isn't really quite there. The mobs that are same level as me, maybe at 1 or 2 levels above me, are killable. The only mob that actually killed me, I was level 9, and I think I was about half health. No, I was full health. I was level 9, and I tried to kill a mob level 13. I'm in old grays, so I have no stat increase or nothing. I'm not even level 10 to get my full specializations or anything. So that's the only reason a mob killed me, is I was level 9 and was 13. That's the only thing that you see in difficulty. But watching a person level on vanilla that would fight mobs same level, and if the mob was 1 level above you, that was the moment of, am I going to survive this? I better prepare, I better try to get as much damage early in as possible before my pet goes into attack, or try to slow it down before the hunter had a pet, and slow the enemy down with concussive shot, just get an arcane shot in there, serpent sting, try to get a couple auto attacks in there, and then you want to try to maybe hopefully bash your way through it with consecutive Mongo strikes or raptor strikes, one of those two. And this, so you don't have the sense of danger, you don't have this little bitty details that make the game feel alive, that make your character feel alive, that it just, those little, it's like attention to detail, I guess, little things that make a difference. So nothing kills you, no really big need to help players or require players to help you. You're kind of just going from quest to quest, no little bit of details like eating after every pull. You just kind of kill a mob, your health will regen, you'll kill the next mob, your health will regen, and nothing really just strikes you as anything dangerous. And then, I guess the only game I could bring to this is something like Dark Souls, right? And I know for some of you it might be a terrible example, because Dark Souls and World of Warcraft are way different. They're miles apart. Completely whole another game, whole another genre. How could you even compare them? But I feel like there's something here, so bear with me. A game like Dark Souls is on Dark Souls 3 right now. They could have easily made the game more accessible for a bigger audience. Dark Souls is a popular game. The hype for it was pretty real, you cannot deny it. But that game did not make their boss fights, as far as I understood, from watching streamers, did not make their boss fights any easier to cater to casual community. The game was hard from the first one, then it was, I feel like, same difficulty for the second one from what I've seen on YouTube and Twitch, and then they retained the difficulty in a third game. Third game, I actually played a little bit off of my twin brother's PC. I was just like, yo, let me give it a go at that Dark Souls shindig, you know? I'm gonna give it a try. And that game was punishing, but it was great. It was pretty awesome, to be honest. Yeah, the rewards after you just die and die and die over to a boss, and the rewards are finally killing them. It didn't even matter how big a reward you got in terms of like what items the boss dropped. It was just the reward of, yes, I killed him. I killed the son of a bitch that's been farming me, right? The excitement, the hype on that was definitely there. But what if Dark Souls were to just like cater to the casuals and just like reduce the difficulty of the game altogether? I don't know if it will retain same value, you know? I guess that's the only comparison I have for World of Warcraft and Dark Souls. World of Warcraft, in terms of leveling, as far as I've been told, in Cataclysm, they decreased the difficulty of the leveling experience. Just the leveling experience alone. And something that was a struggle and a half back in vanilla. So decreasing that level experience also decreased the community, because everybody is, when everybody is leveling in vanilla and is difficult, everybody and a bunch of people are feeling the same struggle. They're trying to overcome the struggle, so they require each other and help from one another and assistance and cooperation in order to overcome challenges. But then there's also a capability where other players can take advantage of that deal. Let's say a friendly player is always going in to help you pull whatever mob, and you have one quest item that both of you need, so but the mob guards it. Let's say a friend comes in, pulls the mob, and you just go steal the item, leave the group, run away. Just those little things, those little details. Now the person has shit on you, kind of. Those little details kind of make up the community that can grow out of this and make up the game for what it is. At least from what I guess can, I don't really know what the word is really. From what I can turn to, understand, I guess is the best probably choice of words here. I don't know. This whole Pristine realm wasn't difficult at all. I did not need players to help me. I was just going from mob to mob. It was fairly mindless, and thank God I had a Twitch stream to listen to. I believe I was watching Lyric at the time. Thank God I had a Twitch stream to listen to while playing the game. The struggle wasn't really there. It wasn't really anything. And I don't know. I guess it was almost unsatisfying. And it's been a while since I leveled a character, and the only reason I would want to level a character, one would be, for example, my Shaman, because I always wanted to try Elemental Shaman for PvP. But the leveling experience, beside the quests and the cutscenes that are in World of General, the quest and experiences, it doesn't feel like I'm having to work for it too much. It's more like it's just a time-consuming kind of deal. It didn't feel like it was a challenge or a struggle or a feat, something to be really, really proud of. The only thing I guess I was proud of back in the day, back in WoD, when it first launched, was getting as high of a level as I did when I did. But the struggle of questing wasn't really there. You did the whole thing by myself without really need for players. So Blizzard is most likely not going to do classic realms. That's understandable. That's fine. We can take that for what it is. We can probably do it as a community. We could probably just take it. And some of us won't be able to, and they'll just find a private realm to play on so they can satisfy their needs, the need to feel alive while just simply questing, simple things like that. They need to just do these things that are kind of, I guess, monotonous, like getting food or getting ammo, but that brings a bit more life to your character in a way. So I was thinking for myself, what if they actually were to do this whole vanilla thing, like the difficulty increase in terms of mobs that you fight and questing and the need to band together in certain quests in Legion? What if they were to do that in Legion? I mean, I can completely understand. It's fine if like a certain quest, like let's say you're a really experienced player and you have some really good tricks up your sleeve and you are able to overcome a challenge that normally you're not supposed to overcome by yourself. But in World of General, everything can be soloed. Currently, nobody is leveling, and I'm playing my Elemental Shaman. No issue, no mob, no issue with any of the rares. Like, as long as they're just not too high a level for me, there's just not that much of a struggle. It's really just get out of the way, get out of the fire, move away, keep on running, keep on moving, pop your cooldowns. I mean, there's no there's no innate need for me to need on a play, but what if in Legion you needed other players' cooperation? What if you needed to band together with other players in order to defeat just the most basic enemies? What if that was a thing? And I thought that would be interesting. That would be interesting. I kind of doubt Blizzard would go by that route, because we're just so far into the way Cataclysm, MOP, and WoD played it out, where leveling is just a monotonous thing rather than a struggle and a half. But what if they were to go back to that? What would that increase community? Right? Would that increase the community between players? Would that bring the community back together? Would it force players to band together in order to overcome these challenges? And that's I think the idea of some might argue is, well, then casual players, it would be much harder for them to end up leveling something that's very basic to the game. But if you have like endgame, kind of like World of General, then I think it's fine if you spend a little bit more time leveling. That's just a joke, though. But what's wrong with taking some time to level? What's wrong with taking the time out of your day to level? One of the things that I found myself doing, which I also saw on the vanilla stream. The guy had to read the questing map, or the quest. He had to read every single quest individually to find where to go. So then the game would take you into different places, and you would end up accidentally exploring the game. Unless you knew exactly where to go, you had to go and find the quest for yourself. And you have to figure out whether you're doing the quest or not. So that idea of quest exploration is something that's not real present in the game right now, because the quests are just showing up on where your map is. There was a couple moments where I found a place where a bunch of gnolls dug up a bunch of undead bodies. That was really cool. There was a place where there was a cool graveyard by Brill that I never knew even existed. I never knew how cool that atmospheric it was, and it had Worgen patrolling the area stealthy. You never know these things, and I wanted to like, oh, I wonder why this quest is this way. I wonder why this quest is this way. But I didn't read. I'm just your average typical gamer. I did not read the quest because it has the objective right here. I'm just kind of just trying to complete my quest before my live stream starts. But back in vanilla, people actually had to read the quest so you would know what the story behind it is, because you had to figure out where did the quest tell you to go. So sometimes you would have to read the end and it would tell you basically where you go. Sometimes you'd have to read through the whole quest just to figure out what you're supposed to do. So then people will be informed of what quest they are doing. And I guess Warlord's Gender can kind of, or even Legion, can kind of, I mean, Warlord's Gender did a pretty good job of it as is. They can have characters say different lines or different text on screen to tell you exactly what you are doing without having to read the quest. And I guess Blizzard realized that most people don't actually read the quests. So that's what they did, how they did in Warlord's Gender, where a character would say something like, oh, thank you for helping me for doing so-and-so. And now you know, oh, I'm doing so-and-so. Okay, cool. But maybe in Legion they could make it so, I don't know, make it, I guess they did reward people with exploring in Warlords. But it wasn't, I guess, the same of like, oh, wow, I need to figure out what the hell my quest is at and then finally completing it after you finally figure it out. I guess the same reward wasn't quite there. It wasn't... I don't really know how to describe it, actually. It wasn't as mandatory, I guess. The whole exploration wasn't mandatory. It was rewarded, but it was not mandatory. And while in Vanilla WoW, exploration was not mandatory, you basically had to figure out where to go. Sometimes you were lucky and you found the exact item or a mob or a bunch of mobs or a boss or whatever, or location that you needed to go to or kill or pick up for a quest. But most of the times, I guess, people would just have to look around the area and figure it out for themselves, and they were kind of just forced to explore. So, I don't know, what if they were to bring that whole thing where you had to read the quest line? Where you needed help of other players for mobs? Would you maybe have people more immersed in World of Warcraft? I mean, I guess the whole point of reading a quest is to figure out what you're supposed to do there. Or are we reading quests or are we just following node to node? And I guess one is fine, one or the other is fine. World of Warcraft is more catered towards the more casual player, the player that doesn't have insane amount of time, I guess, that it took back in vanilla to level a character, to really get some progress on it. But what if they were to bring it back to the difficulty, to the need to read quests, to need to just maybe I should explore this area, maybe my quest will be down there, you know, down a cave or up a hill or something. What if they were to bring it back? Maybe people will be more engaged with the game. People would actually have to pay attention to their screen when they're fighting different mobs, pay attention to where they're going, rather than kind of just blazing through it and making it a monotonous thing. You will never be able to recreate what Vanilla or TBC or even Wrath did, I guess. You will just never be able to do what the good old games did. Some of those mechanics are just archaic, and if you were to implement it currently, they just wouldn't work. But what if you were to take some components, some very basic components, apply them just to see what happens for science? Like, I would love to see the whole quest, now you have to read them. And mobs, now they're difficult, and if you pull more than one, you might just die, unless you're really, really good at playing your class and can really, really kite and CC the target. What if they were to just do that, you know? And I would love to see that just for science. But chances are we'll never do it. My final thoughts on the Pristine realm. I don't think it'll exactly satisfy what the vanilla players would want to see and the nostalgia, because it doesn't have the main components of what made vanilla WoW. It wasn't exactly the quests, it wasn't exactly the leveling and how fast you did it back in vanilla, but I guess it wasn't about the quests, it was about, I guess it might, I'm pretty sure somewhere you could fit something like, it's not what you said, it's how you said it. It's not what you did, it's how you did it, I guess, in vanilla. That's probably the best way I could put it, and I'm sorry if that was like the most cheesiest thing you ever heard. But that's it, this is all I have to say about, Jesus Christ, what are they even called? Pristine Servers. I don't know if it'll do it. I leveled the character. I do not feel any more engaged with the game than I do currently. Currently, I have fun playing my rogue, but I don't know about leveling. It wasn't any more fun. It wasn't any less fun. It's just, with leveling boost, it's just more convenient. So, I ended up spending an hour 30 or so leveling from 1 to 10. I could have ended up spending an hour 30 leveling from 1 to 30. I don't know if my experience would have been any better if I had the leveling gear on. But I gave it a go, give it a good try, And if this is what Pristine Realms are, I don't know, maybe there's some kind of a player that will like this, but I don't know if this is what vanilla players want. I don't know if this is what they're talking about when they wanted, you know, the vanilla leveling, classic leveling, or any of that sort. I just don't know. But what are your thoughts? Let me know in the comments below everything. Sorry for a long video, and sorry it doesn't have actual PvP gameplay commentary, but I thought I might as well talk about this. That's it. Thanks so much for watching, guys. I appreciate it. I'll have more Legion videos out for you in a little bit. I'm gonna probably go to sleep because it's like 12 where I'm at. Thank you, and have a nice day.